Hey Raiders, so something we do here in the Army, something I get pretty much on a daily basis. It's called the Early Bird Report, because you get it, early bird gets the worm. And actually there's a pretty serious topic I want to talk to you about today, and this came out in the Early Bird Report this morning. And I bet by the time you watch this video, this is national news, so I want you to hear it from me first. So I'm just going to read you this article, and then it's pretty relevant to our class, so maybe have some side discussion about it, or we can just elaborate upon it a little bit when I get back. So here's the article. Breaking news: 72 killed resisting gun confiscation in Boston. This is going to be a big story. Here's the article. Police units seeking to confiscate a cache of recently banned assault weapons were ambushed by elements of a paramilitary extremist faction. Military and law enforcement sources estimate that 72 were killed and more than 200 injured before government forces were forced to withdraw. Speaking after the clash, Massachusetts Governor Thomas Gage declared that the extremist faction, which was made up of local citizens, has links to the radical right-wing tax protest movement. Gage blamed the extremists for recent incidents of vandalism directed against Internal Revenue offices. The governor, who described the group's organizers as criminals, issued an executive order authorizing the arrest of any individual who has interfered with the government's efforts to secure law and order. The raid on the extremist arsenal followed widespread refusal by the local citizenry to turn over the recently outlawed assault weapons. Gage issued a ban on military-style assault weapons and ammunition earlier in the week. This decision followed a meeting in the earlier this month between government and military leaders, at which the governor authorized the forcible confiscation of illegal arms. One government official, speaking on the condition of anonymity, pointed out that none of these people would have been killed had the extremists obeyed the law and turned over their weapons voluntarily. Government troops initially succeeded in confiscating a large supply of outlawed weapons and ammunition. However, troops attempting to seize arms and ammunition at Lexington met with resistance from heavily armed extremists who had been tipped off regarding the government's plans. During a tense standoff in the Lexington Town Park, Police Captain Francis Smith, commander of the government operation, ordered the armed group to surrender and return to their homes. The standoff was broken by a single shot, which was reportedly fired by one of the right-wing extremists. 8 civilians were killed in the ensuing exchange. Ironically, the local citizenry blamed government forces rather than the extremists for the civilian deaths. Before order could be restored, armed citizens from the surrounding area had descended upon the guard units. Captain Smith, finding his forces overmatched by the armed mob, ordered a retreat. Governor Gage has called upon citizens to support the state and national joint task force in its effort to restore law and order. The governor also demanded the surrender of those responsible for planning and leading the attack against the government troops. Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, and John Hancock, who have been identified as ringleaders of the extremist faction, remain at large. Wait a minute. Now I get it. This is how the American Revolution began on April 19th, 1775. Because remember, the colonists, the Minutemen at Lexington and Concord, were resisting the confiscation of their weapons and ammunition by the government forces. Yeah, the British. So if that headline grabbed your attention, and just to be clear, because I'm sure some of you are wondering, that article was satire. It was made up to make a point that gun confiscation is really the reason that the colonists dug their heels in and was the reason for the first shots, the first real battle of the American Revolution. So, can you see how such an action led to revolution? If you reshape the headline, you call them police forces instead of redcoats. You say that a local extremist faction resisted the surrender of assault-style weapons and ammunition. You can see how our colonial brethren, okay, our brothers and sisters of liberty from 250 years ago, had very similar ideals to what people today might have as well. And of course, this leads to the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights, the right to bear arms, because one of the big reasons we started fighting the war in the first place was about the possession of firearms and ammunition. So A bit of a catchy headline: 72 killed resisting gun confiscation in Boston. Maybe you started to pick up on it as I said Lexington, and I'm for sure you picked up on it when I said Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, and John Hancock. Just a little attention getter. Maybe I got your attention, and you can kind of realize why the war was fought and how we do still have a connection to Lexington and Concord. Even though it happened 250 years ago, we can still understand it today. Today's class, welcome to class today. You're going to be reviewing Unit 1, Colonies to Constitution. One of my battle buddies is going to take you through a variety of review games. You will start with the flashcards and head whatever direction the class needs to head in order to keep reviewing information. At the end of today's class, you will get the study guide's scavenger hunt. And depending on how much time you have available, you might start it in class or be sent home with you. It will be due Friday morning. I'm forcing you into the study guide. The study guide is only as good as you using it. It can be printed in color. It can have great information in it, but that's worthless if you don't use it. So the study guide scavenger hunt will force you into the study guide, and you may be able to start that in class today, or I'll send you home with it, and it will be due on Friday. It is a 100-point daily grade, so don't think it's just a good suggestion. It is a grade in and of itself, and of course it is worthwhile for preparing you for the exam. Unit 1 benchmark exam on Friday. I'm excited for you to show me what you know and show that our class works. We can have fun, we can simulate a variety of things, we can engage with each other, we can take notes, and we can do well when the time comes to show what we know on benchmark exams as well. So have a great class today. I miss you. I'm thinking about you. From fabulous Fort Stewart, in the middle of nowhere, Mr. Captain Swanson is out.